Hello everyone, welcome to the session. So today we are going to learn how to ping two EC2 instance. So let's first understand why do we need to ping two EC2 instances and what is the requirement for this. So first of all, let's understand what does it mean by pinging. So if two EC2 instances are able to ping each other, it means they are able to communicate with each other. So it confirms that the network setting is fine between these two EC2 instances. And in the real-time scenarios, we have seen that we need multiple instances when we have to ping one server from another and vice versa. And sometime when we are creating the replication, at that time also we have to ping different servers just to make sure that we are able to it just to make sure it communicates properly so that our application will work. Now I'll show you how this works. So I have created these two servers. We can see here server 1 and server 2. So for pinging from one server to another server, we need to use this private IP. As we can see here, this is the private IP of server 1. So I'll be using this server private IP 172.31.35.103. So this is the private IP of EC2 instance 1. And let's see what is the private IP of other instance. This is 172.31.45.1. So we have to note down the private IP of both the instances. So let's see what are the steps we need to follow to ping from one server to another server. So as we can see, these are the high level steps. First, we need to note down the private IP of both the instances. So as we saw in the EC2 instance in the cloud, these are the private IP of both the instances. Prod 1 for prod 1, it is 172.31.35.103, and for prod 2, it is 172.31.45.1. So we have to note it down. On the second step, what we have to do from the host 1, when I say the host 1, it means it's prod 1 because I have changed the name of the host. So when we see the practical at that time, we will see the host name is changed to prod 1 and prod 2. So what we have to do, we have to edit the security group, and in the inbound rule, we have to add the entry of host 2. So when I say the host 2, it's prod 2. So we have to add the entry of prod 2 in prod 1. So we have to make entry for these like 172.31.45.1 in the inbound rule of prod 1, and same for the host 2 as well. So here we have to edit the security group, and in the inbound rule we have to add the entry of host 1. So in the host 2 we have to add the entry of this private IP of prod 1 172.31.35.103. And after that, when we ping from prod 1 to prod 2, it should work, and the vice versa as well from prod 2 to prod 1. So let's see the practical how it works. Okay, so let's try to ping prod 2 from prod 1 and see if it works. So in my previous steps, I have shown you that we have to note down the private IP of prod 1 and prod 2. So I have already noted it down. So I am going to ping prod 2 IP. As we can see here, ping is not working. It is hanging. Means prod 1 is not able to communicate with the prod 2. So let's ping from I'm going to ping from prod 2 to prod 1. So this is the IP of prod 1, and when I'm pinging it is not working. So we can say that the communication is not working from prod 1 to prod 2 and prod 2 to prod 1. So we need to set up this. So let's do the practical and set it up, how we can do this, how to set up the communication between prod 1 and prod 2 and vice versa. Okay, so let's see the connectivity between these two EC2 instances. So I'm into server 1. What I'll do, I'll go to the security. Here you can see all the details. Here is the security. I'll go to security tab. I will open the security group. So I'll open it in a new tab. And here what I'll do, I will add the entry for prod 2. So I'll select this. I'll do the edit inbound rule, and here we can see the option to add rule. So at what we'll do, so here we have to select all ICMP, IPv4 and the IP as we have noted it down earlier. So I'll just copy it and paste it here. 32. So I'll just give a description from prod 1 to prod 2. So it will do the, from this we can understand why this is for what purpose, and we can save the rule, and same we can do this from on prod 2 as well. So let's do that. So we can see here this entry I have added, but after editing the security group we have to restart the instance. So make sure this instance is restarted. So I am going to restart the prod 1. Let's do a reboot instance. I just rebooted the instance 1. Now what I'll do, I will do the same changes for server 2 as well. Let's go to the security group of server 2. This is the security group. I'll modify it. Select the security group, edit inbound rule. Here add rule, all ICMP IPv4. Here I need to give the IP of prod 1 because we will be pinging from prod 2. So let's put it here like this, and here we can give the description from prod 2 to prod 1. Save the rule, and we can see the entry here. Now let's go to instance section, and here just reboot this. After this, let's try pinging prod 2 from prod 1. So ping, this is the IP of prod 2. It should work. Okay, so we can see there it is receiving communication from prod 2. So it is working fine from prod 1 to prod 2. Now let's test it from prod 2. Let's check from prod 2. I'll run the command ping, and the IP of prod 1 is 172.31.35.103. So let's try to ping it, and we can see it is receiving communication from prod 1. So we can see that prod 1 and prod 2 are able to communicate with each other. So this is what we have discussed in today's session. Thank you.